So, hi everyone. My name is Jean Hawkshurst, and I want to welcome you again to Imagine Kentucky Methodism's series on staying United Methodist. Today we have with us the Hannifans, and they are going to go ahead and introduce themselves. Welcome, you two.
Thank you, Jean. I'm John Hannifan. We've been members of Memorial United Methodist Church in Elizabethtown since the early 70s. And we're glad to be there, and we've been involved in different ways. Martha always more active, me always more passive. And there's a second part of my current connection to the conference that I'll come back to in a minute. So, ma'am.
I'm Martha, and John is right. He was more passive than I was, but now he's catching up and passing me by. So, but I've done lots and lots of different jobs at Memorial, some things with the district and also with the conference, especially things that were connected to social concerns. So, and I've been active in the UMW also. So, yeah, we've, for the most part, been happy there. So
well, excellent. Well, thank you. So the big question that we're asking people in Kentucky to share about is, why do you want to stay United Methodist? You're going to have a choice. So why do you think you'll choose to stay United Methodist?
As Jean, as part of the introduction, I want to come to my second part. And a few years ago, several of us locally got together out of our concerns about the sexual and gender identity issues. And that has come along for 6 or 7 years now. And we've expanded into other areas. And we now have about 150 members in the Kentucky group. And it has its own Facebook page. So that's changed the nature of my outlook and my reasons for wanting to stay, because although there was hesitation, and there still is on parts of a lot of people to get into that matter, we found that the church in general, the regulations, anything official leaves room for discussion, searching, learning, reasoning. And that's one good reason to stay, you know. I don't know that we would find that in some other quarters. And from there, staying, to me, I'm a clinical psychologist. I worked with a lot of families. I had a little sign in my office that said, "Children need roots and wings." Well, our children came up through Memorial Methodist, and there are the roots. And as I learn more across the years, because psychologists have to learn all kinds of things, I realize how deep those roots are across generations and around the world and in every context. And then wings, the current work we're doing with reconciling is an example of that there's been no kickback directly that we're very much aware of. It's just that people are hesitant to talk out loud and a little fearful. But apparently, we have the wings to take on that subject. What do you know? So, and I don't mind saying that for me, the background plays a role. I came from a different faith tradition. I didn't know anything about Methodists. I found out that I married a preacher's kid. Well, I knew beforehand. I very much enjoyed the connection with her father. He's sort of a role model or a hero of mine. And so those connections and the acceptance we've had in our church and in one previous church in California, and what I see as I study makes me want to stay. And sometimes the question is, why not? So now I'll let Martha chime in, finally.
Well, I'm a cradle to, I assume, grave Methodist, but I don't know. I'm not sure now. But I think that even if I hadn't been born into a Methodist family, I would have found the Methodist Church because it meshes with my view of the Bible and religion in general. I don't know if that makes much sense or not, but and I've been to a number of different churches, never to the point of staying, but visiting, and I've never really felt connected or comfortable at any other kind of church. So I think it's in my blood. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think all the connectional ministries, there's so many positives, and the impact we have worldwide. I just can't stand the thought of losing those things. For years, I thought of the Methodist and then United Methodist Church as a leader, but I feel like we were falling behind, and I think that it's important that we make up for lost time when we've been squabbling internally.
Amen to that. Amen. Well, I'm glad you're both United Methodist, and I'm glad you're going to stay. And just for clarification purposes, the group that you were talking about is Reconciling Ministries in Kentucky, or Kentucky Reconciling Ministries. And if people are interested in learning more about that, they could probably contact either you two or me or Reverend Dr. Linda Millian, right?
That's right. And I meant to mention, I'm the co-facilitator of the group now, and along with Reverend Linda Millian. And we took on those roles just before COVID hit. So we did not know that we would be Zooming all over the place. And we're not very good at it. So there's two confessions. I wanted to say another thing, that there's a very nice series put out by another conference, a group in another conference, a 4-part series about the past, present, and future of the United Methodist Church. And the first session is called An Impulse to Include. And that particular pastor, perhaps professor too, reviews many, 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 many times in the past where Methodists have confronted social issues, slavery, women in the past, women in the ministry. Martha, did you ever meet a woman minister as a child?
Heavens, no.
Well, me neither, until I was in college.
Right. So there's the change. And another thing I learned that just hit me between the eyes is Martha's dad was a pastor in the North Mississippi Conference. And when we met in the late 60s, early 70s, there was a Black conference and there was a white conference. And to some extent, I'm sure many of the churches are still that way. We haven't been there enough to keep up with that. But somewhere along the line, those two conferences merged. And I've always thought, what kind of work and prayer and worry went into that concern? But they pulled it off. They merged. And so now everybody meets together, just like in Kentucky. And with an eye on history, that seems critical to me. And that's just one example. I imagine there's something in most states. I know there are in Florida. So we're capable of changing and growth.
We are with God's help. And I think that's a part of all of this. We know that we're not perfect, but we want to be, and we want to be welcoming and loving. And that's what staying United Methodist means to me, is wanting to do the best we can with what we've been given. and you mentioned something else that made me want to just say in this conversation that we are going to be shifting these conversations more to teaching times, which will be a good thing. And I hope our people who are viewing these will watch out for those. But I do have another question for you. And that is, and you've kind of already begun to answer it, of course, but if you envision a future United Methodist Church, an emerging United Methodist Church, a continuing United Methodist Church, whatever you want to call it, what do you see? What do you hope we become when we stay and work through these things?
That's tough. Our slogan or motto or whatever we called it, the open minds, open hearts, open doors. I'd like to see that truly being used. I have a gay friend who I thought put it so well. She said, I feel like I have one foot in the door and I can't get the other foot in. And I thought, yeah, we say we're welcoming, but only up to a point. And I'd like to see that change. I think, I can't quote it, but there was something that's attributed to John Wesley to the effect, though we can't all think alike, can we not all love alike? And John and I were observers at the special session of General Conference in St. Louis in 2019. And what I saw there just tore my heart out. The love wasn't there for so many of the speakers. And that just made me so sad. And I would like to think that all that could be in the past. We could be accepting of everyone, regardless of their race, gender, sexual orientation, anything, that we could truly have open minds, open hearts, and open doors.
Right. And Wesley said, Wesley asked, dost thou love and serve the Lord? It is enough. I give you the right hand of fellowship. And I want to be that witness too. Yeah, I'm sorry, John, go ahead.
Well, I don't think I'll try to add to Martha's because we see things the same way. And I would say 20, 25 years ago, I would look at the motto and think, that could be done. We can get there. It's just like we added an elevator for people who need elevators, and we have accommodations and make changes in other ways for other people and outreach ministries. So I think that whole idea of just general inclusiveness is doable, and I'm going to stay and keep working on it.
Amen, my friends. Thank you. And thank you for being a witness to wanting open hearts, open minds, and open doors. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for your time.